Alrighty here, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Sorry, no face today, but my application is broken. My Loom application is broken. But today we have got why I don't care about white privilege. Okay, because first of all, I just want to get into the fact that it's a very loose term. Okay, it's not very well defined. Okay, even if you go into the definition, it talks about how it's a social phenomenon intertwined with race and racism. The American Anthropological Association states that the racial worldview was invented to assign some groups perpetual low status while others were permitted access to privilege, power, and wealth. Although the definition of white privilege has been somewhat fluid, it is generally agreed to refer to the implicit or systemic advantages the people who are deemed white have relative to people who are not deemed white. Not having to experience suspicion and other adverse reactions to one's race is often termed a type of white privilege. It goes on here to suggest that we look at something called the invisible backpack. So of course I looked up what is the invisible backpack. So there's some things in here such as number 15. I'm never expected to speak for people of my race. Okay, so that's one that you can't really get rid of that, right? So that's something that you can get rid of through interactions with people, right? That's something that I've learned in the military, is that the only way for people to get better at interacting with other races is to interact with other races. Okay, it's not really something that you can legislate away. It's not something that you can just artificially do by somehow quote-unquote eliminating white privilege. Things up here like I can buy posters, greeting cards, dolls, toys, children with people appearing of my race. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's give something a try really quick. All right, within 10 seconds, all right, this could be delivered tomorrow. I found black dolls. Okay, so there's this thing called Amazon.com where you can buy basically anything from any seller. All right, so I'm not sure about that whole notion that was just expressed over here. Posters, postcards, the internet is a powerful tool, guys, and it exists. Number 23, I can choose public accommodation without fearing that people of my race cannot get in or will be mistreated in the places I have chosen. Now, I don't know if there's segregation somewhere that this person writing this, like I have not experienced that in 2021, but you know, if people think that they were denied service because of their race, you can definitely bring that up with the authorities, and that is illegal. Number 26, I can choose a blemish cover or bandages in flesh color and have them more or less match my skin. So let's try this one more time. Would you look at that? Within seconds, we've got several different colors of bandages. Not that I think that this really matters, but there actually are products and services that if people demand them, people will make them. So weird how that capitalism thing works. So anyway, I don't know. This is just like it's a lot of these weird like group thinky notions that people have internalized, and I don't know why I'm still reading this. Number 7, I can be sure that my children will be given curricular materials that testify to the existence of their race. Let's go back. Let's try this one more time. All right. This right here is a fantastic book right here, and it didn't take me very long to look this up. I could buy this book and I could give it to my children. That's crazy how that works, right? This has all been on Amazon. You even have, if you're into that, you have the Black Lives Matter reading list. Okay, if that's really what you're into, there you go. There's all those books. You can assure that your children are given this. All right, exhibit number 2, we are looking at the median household income detailed by ancestry. So that means that this is where these people came from. So Indian Americans, they came from India. Okay, so to avoid confusion with Native Americans, because Native Americans, we will see them down here towards the bottom. Okay, so Indian Americans, number 1, $135,000. Taiwanese, okay, so Indian, Asian, then we get to some people who would be considered white, but they're not from America, so they're not quote unquote white. Okay, Filipino Americans, so we got Asian. You could call them white, but they're not from here. Okay, South African Americans. Okay, so they could be considered white, could be considered white. Indonesian people, not white. All right. So, anyways, the point of this being that what we see is we see a lot of immigrants, right? We see a lot of people with this ancestry, the immigrant ancestry, that are doing a lot better than quote unquote white, right? This is where the privileged folks rank, right under number 60. Okay, Laotian, Thai people, Egyptian people, Nigerian people, okay, Ghanaian people. All right, all of these people are doing better than quote unquote white people, right? So how do we justify the notion of white privilege when all of these hardworking immigrants, which is the real story of America, hardworking immigrants that came here for a better life and achieved it, how do we explain that, right? So not only is it something that's not useful, it's something that's not even actually supported by these facts. So let's get back into basically why this happened. So this basically happened because there was a commenter, which I'll show him. This guy over here, little tree, all right? So this guy, he likes to do this. He likes to comment these raccoon emojis, right? Call me a coon on my videos, because I don't buy into the notion that I'm a victim, because I don't buy into the notion that there's anything that I cannot achieve just by putting in some hard work, okay? So let's look at what he stands for, all right? So we got a cup of lean. We got PlayStation sucks. We got his terrible song down here, which I'm very disappointed. I want my 46 seconds back, Lil Tree. I don't know what that is, but he's promoting lean up here, right? He's promoting violence. All right, this is what a non-coon looks like, right? Somebody who is promoting sipping lean, right? An addictive drug that has ruined many young black men's life. This is the standard for black culture, right? We should all be more like Lil Tree. Anyway, I hope you guys pick up that I'm being facetious there. So that people like that, they don't even make me mad at this point. It's just something that you have to acknowledge exists, okay? There's a lot of, when you see that, it kind of explains a little bit of this, right? And last year I tripled this. I almost tripled this, right? But when I see something like this, Indian Americans, $135,000, I don't think, oh no, they have privilege or they're working harder or whatever. What I think is I want to make that in a month one day, right? So some people are thinking at the lowest level and other people are thinking at the highest level, right? And on this channel here, we're thinking at the highest level. So basically he says that in a lot of his comments that I am catering to white people, or in other words, these people down here at number 60, right under number 60, that's who I'm catering to. I'm not catering to white people. I'm not catering to black people. I'm catering to anyone out there who wants to listen, anyone out there who wants to improve their life, anyone out there who wants to acknowledge all of these immigrants that are working much harder than white people, that are working much harder than the statistical category of African Americans. And by the way, household income, when we're talking about household income, that's talking about all income that is made within the house. So if you have a statistically more likelihood, if you have a statistically higher probability of having two parents in the household, then the household income is going to be higher, right? So some of these might not even necessarily be because one person is making more money. It might just be because more people are making money within the household. The marriages are stronger, okay? So we can acknowledge these facts without calling them racist, without calling them a systemic problem, okay? So a lot of things can be determined by individual action, by individuals' choices, okay? So let's talk about this. I want to get into these last notes and then we'll close out the video. So white privilege, what it is more likelihood of being born well off, okay? That's what it is, no more, no less. What it is not, something that makes you inherently better off if you're born white, okay? So it is not something that is going to make it more likely that you can rise up if you were born white, all right? And number 3 that I wanted to get into here is racists exist, okay? The notion that we can legislate that away is absolutely absurd. The only way that we can make race relations better is by, I'm one race, somebody else is another race. We have good, clear interactions. We have good quality interactions, and we have a better relationship afterwards. All right. I've seen it time and time again throughout the military that people don't expect that there are high quality people of the African American race until they meet me, and then they're shown differently. Okay. Because they just haven't had that interaction in their life. All right. So back to the title, why I don't care about white privilege. Number 1, it doesn't do anything for me. Okay. It does nothing for me to look at these statistical categories and think that that is what is going to determine my life, to think that I'm going to end up here, to think that I'm going to end up here, to think that I'm going to end up here. When I see these categories, like I said before, I think, what's the highest one? I want to make that in a month. That's what I think. So some people are just low-level thinkers. Number 2, it's not supported by statistics. So we look at this. These are the statistics. Look at all these immigrants. Look at all these hard workers that are above the quote-unquote white people, right? It doesn't matter that they were born white. It doesn't matter that they were born Laotian up here. It doesn't matter that they were born Indian. They had to work their butt off, and they ended up at the top up there, right? Statistically speaking, because I'm sure you know some people who are Indian Americans who are not doing this, okay? So That just is what it is, all right? And we don't have to call that racist. It just is what it is. Number 3, I have no intention of being average. So we kind of already went over this. I don't have any intention of being average, being a median, or anything like that. I don't think that these rules apply to me because they aren't rules. They're just taking people and grouping them into a group, all right? So number 4, what if we, instead of grouping people by race, we grouped people by habits? So what if we measure people's wealth and income for people who save 25% of their income? Okay. What about people who work 50 hours a week? What do you think would happen there, right? If you broke up the races and you broke people into groups based on who works 50, 55, 60 plus hours a week, what do you think would happen? All right. What would happen if you took people by people who have a budget and people who track their spending? What do you think would happen to the levels of wealth, right? In the yes versus no category. And the last one I want to show you guys is these 3 rules to avoiding poverty. So what if you group people by graduating high school, waiting until after 21 to get married and have kids, and having a full-time job? What you see is that you only have a 2% chance of ending up in poverty. Meanwhile, you'll have a 74% chance of being in the middle class. Okay, so this rule applies to everyone, all right, regardless of your race, and it doesn't matter, right? So that's what I want to say about that. And the last thing is that you either have equal rules or you have equal outcomes. So I give this example all the time on the channel, but I used to be a track runner. And if you were to line me up against the average person, I'm going to win that race. But if you were to line me up against the average person, you line them up at the 50-meter line, you line me up at the 100-meter line. Okay, for the average American, that's going to be still somewhat a fair race, right? So the average American, maybe they'll beat me at that point. Maybe they'll have kind of a fair chance to win the race. So anyways, hopefully you guys were enlightened by this video. It's a little tree, and anybody who thinks like him, I think that you and anybody who thinks like you are garbage. Go ahead and put your raccoons in the chat. It really helps me with my engagement. So keep on hating on me. The more haters I get, the more money I get. And I'll see you guys at the top with the right mindset, and I'll see everybody in the next video.